All right, news in detail now. Israel called on Saturday for Palestinians in Gaza's southern city of Rafah to evacuate and head to an expanded humanitarian area in Al-Mawasi. The Israeli military said it was continuing operational activity against Hamas terrorists in eastern Rafah and on the Gazan side of the Rafah crossing. The Israeli military also called on residents and displaced people in the Jabalia area of northern Gaza to clear out, saying it was returning to operate there after it noticed Hamas trying to re-establish its control of the area. The latest evacuation orders came hours after internationally mediated ceasefire talks appeared to be faltering. Terrorist group Hamas said Israel's rejection of a truce offer it had accepted returned things to square one. Israel said the terms did not meet its demands. Now, Egypt has refused to coordinate with Israel on the entry of aid into Gaza from the Rafah crossing due to Israel's unacceptable escalation. The Egypt official says that Egypt held Israel responsible for the deterioration of the situation in the Gaza Strip. On May 7th, Israeli forces seized the main border crossing at Rafah, closing a vital route for aid into the besieged enclave. The United Nations and other international aid agencies said the closing of the two crossings into southern Gaza, Rafah and Israeli-controlled Kerem Shalom had virtually cut the enclave off from outside aid and very few stores were available inside. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said on Saturday that a ground attack on Gaza's southern city of Rafah by Israel would be irresponsible and lead to a massive loss of civilian lives. We think an offensive on Rafah would be irresponsible. We warn against it, Scholz said at a webcast event organized by German newspaper group R&D. He further said, "We don't believe that there is any approach that would not lead in the end to incredible loss of human life of innocent civilians," adding that he had told this to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Despite heavy US pressure and alarm expressed by residents and humanitarian groups, Israel has said it will proceed with an incursion into Rafah, where more than 1 million displaced people have sought refuge during the 7-month war. A Palestinian terrorist group Hamas said on Saturday that another one of the hostages abducted during its October 7 attack on Israel has died. Hamas released a video saying that Nadaf Popelwell, who was taken hostage from the southern Israeli community of Kibbutz Nerem, has died. Earlier on Saturday, Hamas released an undated video of the 51-year-old captive. Hours later, in the second video, it said Popelwell died of wounds sustained a month ago. Of 252 people abducted on October 7, 128 remain in Gaza. According to Israeli, at least 36 of them have been declared dead by an Israeli forensic committee. Israel says operations in Gaza, along with eliminating Hamas, which has ruled the enclave since 2007. More than 100 people have reportedly been kidnapped by gunmen during Friday night raids on 3 villages in northwest Nigeria. Zamfara's district head said gunmen attacked the villages of Gora, Madomawa and Jambuzu, and that 38 men and 67 women and children were missing. Zamfara is a hotspot for kidnapping gangs who carry out attacks and retreat into forests where they have set up camps. The Nigerian military has bombed some of the camps, but attacks continue. Now, the real estate market in Ukraine is experiencing a surprising boom. There was a 70% increase in transactions last year, a strong recovery since this conflict with Russia began in 2022. Although sales are still lower than in 2021, it is looking like more Ukrainians are willing to invest in real estate despite the ongoing war. DD India's Megumi Lim reports from Kiev.
These days, driving around Bucha is like a tour around construction sites. Yuri, who is a property developer here, said his company was the first to begin rebuilding after Russian forces retreated at the end of March 2022. Now he says the number of construction projects have reached as much as 50% of pre-invasion figures. The most popular option for home purchases are those that are fitted with bomb shelters.
And that's why we made our bomb shelters not just ordinary shelters, but comfortable ones, where you can spend time working.
Lyubov is looking to buy a new home for her daughter who lives in Dnipro, eastern Ukraine, which has come under regular attacks.
Now I need to find an apartment to buy because it is dangerous there in Dnipro, and Irpin is now a calmer city compared to others. It's already recovering, so it's quieter than the others.
Her daughter represents one of the main groups driving the growing real estate market, those planning to move away from areas that have become unsafe. Kyiv and western Ukraine are common destinations as they are considered safer than the war-ravaged east and south of the country. According to a Ukrainian analytics company, more than 400,000 homes, apartments and land changed hands last year, a 70% increase from the first year of war in 2022. The figures are still lower than in 2021 when the country saw a record number of over 630,000 properties sold. Anna, who is a real estate agent in Irpin, says after the approval of additional military aid from the United States, people are feeling more confident.
After the news from the U.S., people became more positive. People started to choose. This applies both to the purchase of apartments and houses.
As the war grinds on, the risk of home ownership remains high. According to the Kyiv School of Economics, as of January this year, over 250,000 private houses and apartment buildings have been damaged or destroyed by Russian missile and drone attacks. According to Prihodko and Partners, a Ukrainian law firm, despite the risks, 90% of homeowners don't insure their properties. Kyiv also believes damages from air attacks should be paid for by Russia. For Lyubov, moving her daughter to the Kyiv region gives her a sense of relief. One of her main criteria is that she lives on a lower level, less exposed to air attacks.
Before the war, I didn't pay attention to the floor level, but now I pay attention to the fact that this is in the middle floor. Not in the first, not in the last one, and that there should be a bomb shelter.
With no end in sight to the war, people in Ukraine are finding ways to carve out a safe space for themselves as best as they can. Megumi Lim in Kyiv, reporting for DD India.
And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Saturday said that battles were ongoing in the area of 7 border villages in the northeastern region of Kharkiv. Fierce fighting raged into a second day on the fringes of Kharkiv region on Saturday as Moscow said it had captured 5 villages, while Kiev said it was repulsing the attacks and battling for control of the settlements. Speaking in his nightly video address, Zelensky also added that the situation in southern Donetsk region remains especially tense.
The situation in Donetsk region remains especially tense. More than 30 combat engagements occur there every day. The situation is extremely difficult. Of course, we also pay attention to all other directions of defense operations.
And the governor of Russia's Belgorod region, which borders Ukraine, said on Saturday that 1 woman was killed and 29 people were wounded in shelling by Ukraine's armed forces. 49 apartments and 22 apartment buildings and 4 commercial properties were damaged and 4 roofs of apartment buildings had received a direct hit, he added. He said a city hospital, a children's regional hospital, a school and 2 sports facilities had also been damaged. Now, State Emergency Service of Ukraine in Kharkiv region on Saturday released videos set to show rescuers evacuating the residents. Emergency services said that rescuers on the way back from an assignment in Vovchansk evacuated local residents who fled their homes to escape from shelling. Emergency services also helped with the evacuation of residents from settlements close to the border with Russia. And the Ukrainian border town of Vovchansk is under constant shelling by Russian forces, the town's chief patrol officer said on Saturday. As explosions were sounded in the background, police officers showed destroyed buildings and empty streets in the town where a pre-war population of 17,000 has dwindled to a few thousand. Kharkiv region governor said regional authorities had evacuated more than 2,500 people from the frontier area, and that process continued. Russian forces launched an armored ground attack on Friday near Ukraine's second city of Kharkiv in the northeast of country and made small inroads, opening a new front in a war that has long been waged in the east and the south. And Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz said on Saturday that Ukrainians with a residence permit and work in Germany can stay even as Ukraine seeks to recruit nationals living abroad to serve in the war against Russia. The Ukrainian government last month approved rules temporarily barring military-aged men from applying for passports abroad, further tightening regulations as it seeks to address a shortage of troops to counter Russia's attacks. A group of civilians from Poland, Warsaw, spent their Saturday training in military techniques. The training session is billed as trained with the armies by the country's defense ministry. The training course lasts for 2 months and consists of lessons on using weapons, personal defense techniques, learning how weapons are constructed, survival basics and first aid. It is open to people aged 15 years and above. According to the defense ministry, more than 23,000 Poles have participated in the trainings. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. About 50,000 protesters marched peacefully through the streets of the Georgian capital Tbilisi on Saturday. Demonstrators continued to oppose a foreign agents bill proposed by the government. Critics say the bill is inspired by one in Russia that has been used to clamp down on dissent. More than 1,000 protesters marched against American automotive company Tesla and the planned expansion of its factory in Heights near Berlin on Saturday. Locals are protesting the expansion plans that include declaring of 50 hectares of forest to build a freight train station in a groundwater protection zone. Now, dozens of aircraft from every era of aviation history took to the skies over Washington, D.C. for an hour-long flyover on Saturday. Biplanes, planes and Lear jets took part in the event commemorating 85 years of the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. Let's still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Doors of Badrinath Dham, a Hindu holy place in India, opened for devotees on Sunday morning in Uttarakhand's Chamoli. And solar storm puts on brilliant light show across the globe. Northern lights illuminate sky in Spain.
As India decides in the world's largest election,
we help you feel the pulse of the nation.
I am Sakal Bhatt.
I am Shubhendu Ghosh.
This election season, join us on a journey of India.
We are in Assam. This is the tea city of India.
From down south, Tamil Nadu.
Discover the colors of democracy.
Gateway to northeast of India.
Coastal state of Kerala. Watch Poll Pulse on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Destinations worldwide are courting Indian travelers, including countries in Africa. The authorities in several African nations are ramping up their efforts to attract visitors from the rapidly growing market. Tanzanian officials in particular view Indian travelers as an important segment to their efforts to boost the country's growing tourism industry. DD India's Isaac Lucando has more.
Last year, Tanzania saw 1.8 million tourists land on its soil, compared to a high of 1.5 million visitors recorded before the COVID-19 pandemic. The government is now looking to India to boost that number.
In our research, we have seen the need to improve tourism advertisement and expand the use of technology in that regard. you'll see that there are emerging tourism markets such as Latin America and India, where we have exhausted just 1.7% of their tourism potential.
Tour operators in Tanzania are looking forward to this new development as they feel the Indian diaspora could play a part in attracting tourists from the subcontinent.
So we see a huge number of families who want to come and visit Tanzania. They travel in groups of 7 people, 6 people, sometimes more, 20 to 30 people, and they come visit their family members. We've seen an increase in travel, in ticketing, in hotel bookings, in activities and excursions that they want to do together as a family.
The number of Indian tourists visiting Tanzania has been growing, with available statistics showing that in 2017 alone, about 39,000 tourists from India were granted pre-departure visas to Tanzania. In the same vein, Air Tanzania resumed its operations in India 4 years ago after a sabbatical of 20 years.
Most of Tanzania's tourists come from the US and Europe, but after the COVID-19 pandemic, the government is shifting its focus to Asia. It's hoping that the large populations in countries like India will help fuel the growth ambitions of its tourism sector.
In anticipation of increased tourists, the government is dealing with potential pitfalls.
There exists a challenge of increasing the number of accommodations and improving their quality. So I call on the private sector to work on this to ensure our guests have a positive experience, considering that 40% of the tourists coming here do so after being informed of our hospitality.
Tanzania's earnings from tourism in 2023 saw a growth of over 33%, reaching $3.3 billion from $2.5 billion the previous year. The government is hoping that success in tapping into the Indian tourism market will keep this number soaring. Isaac Lukando in Dar es Salaam, reporting for DD India.
All right, now let's get to the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. All right, with several political rallies scheduled for Sunday, campaigning for the general elections continues to gain momentum across India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding a roadshow in Patna. He will also hold 4 rallies in West Bengal state. Now moving further, senior BJP leader Amit Shah is scheduled to hold election rallies in Gonda, Raebareli and Pratapgarh in Uttar Pradesh state, which has the highest number of parliamentary seats. And senior BJP leader Rajnath Singh is likely to address a rally in Leh. Moving further, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi is scheduled to hold interaction with the youth in New Delhi on Sunday. Also, Aam Aadmi Party Supremo and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal is expected to hold 2 road shows in the capital city on Sunday. Also, Samajwadi Party President Akhilesh Yadav is likely to address 2 public meetings in Uttar Pradesh. The general elections are being held in 7 phases and the results will be declared on June 4th. The doors of the Badrinath Dham, a Hindu holy place, opened for devotees on Sunday morning in Uttarakhand's Chamoli. One of 4 sites in India's Char Dham pilgrimage, the doors were open amidst the melodious tunes of the army band with complete rituals, Vedic chanting and slogans of Badri Vishal Lal Ki Jai. Now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Ambassador of France to India, Thierry Matou, visited the heritage village of Mawphlang in the northeastern state of Meghalaya on Saturday. Mathu's visit comes ahead of a joint military exercise between India and France in the Umroi region of the Meghalaya from May 13th to 26th. India's border security force troops recovered a drone along with a packet of suspected heroin weighing about 520 grams in the district of Amritsar in Punjab on Saturday. The recovered drone has been identified as a China-made DJI Mavic 3 Classic. Residents and tourists in Shimla witnessed a drop in temperature after the hill resort in the northern Indian state of Himachal Pradesh received a fresh spell of rain on Saturday. A US government agency that monitors solar activity warned on Saturday that the biggest geomagnetic storm to hit the Earth in 2 decades would continue through Sunday. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration described the event as extreme and said the last event of a similar scale occurred in October 2003. Authorities said the cause was a large complex sunspot cluster that was 17 times the diameter of the Earth that led many parts of the globe to witness many forms of northern lights. The death toll from heavy rains in southern Brazil has climbed to 136. Millions have been affected due to constant downpour in the region. The weather authorities say persistent precipitation is expected to hit parts of the state center and east from Friday to Sunday. Scientists believe the pattern has been intensifying due to climate change. Now, Canada grapples with scorching blaze of wildfires. Evacuation alert issued for Alberta as an out-of-control fire rages southwest of the major Canadian oil town, making it among the first actions ahead of the wildfire season. The authorities of Alberta stated the wildfire danger is extreme in the Fort McMurray forest area and out of control at about 1,000 hectares in size, posing a constant threat to residents living nearby. Last year, Canada endured its worst ever fire season that affected millions of people there. Now, Switzerland emerged as the winner of Eurovision Song Contest 2024 on Saturday in Swedish city of Malmö. Swiss rapper and singer Nemo won the contest with The Code, a genre-blending song about their journey of self-discovery. Croatia came as a runner-up. SpaceX Starship rocket, a futuristic vehicle designed to eventually carry astronauts to the moon and beyond, will probably have its 4th flight in 3 to 5 weeks, the company's chief executive Elon Musk said on Saturday. Musk said the objective is for the ship to get past max heating, or at least further than the last time. Earlier this year, SpaceX Starship rocket completed nearly an entire test flight through space on its 3rd try, getting farther than ever before, but disintegrated on its return to Earth. Northern Lights illuminates the night sky of Palencia, Spain. The Northern Lights, also called the Aurora Borealis, burst seen around the world from the UK to Russia and the United States as the Earth experiences the biggest geomagnetic storm due to solar activity in 2 decades. The authorities have said the storm is likely to persist and batter several parts of the globe over the weekend. Alright, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.